Hello everyone and welcome to Van Tech Corner. In this video, let's take a look at the Zyxel NW50AX, a true Wi-Fi 6 access point designed for small homes, office and business. Whether it is for new deployment or existing system upgrading, the Zyxel NW50AX is a perfect choice that balances the cost and performance. The Zyxel NW50AX supports Move MIMO with up to 1800 Mbps wireless throughput. It is 575 Mbps for the 2.4 GHz channel and 1200 Mbps for the 5 GHz channel. The device is working on Wi-Fi 6 standards 802.11ax. At the same time, it is backward compatible with Wi-Fi 5 or 802.11ac and Wi-Fi 4, which is 802.11bgn. Some of the highlighted features of this compact Wi-Fi 6 access point are band steering, fast roaming, mesh networking, VLAN, and Roche AP detection. The AP can be set up in just a few minutes with either the web interface or using the Nebula mobile app. It can operate in standalone mode or it can be added to the Nebula cloud for centralized management. Just in case you are about to install the AP on the ceiling where there is no power outlet available, no worry, Zyxel got you covered. Besides the DC power jack, you can power on the NW50AX with power over Ethernet. All you need is an 802.3AT PoE adapter, such as the Zyxel BOE12.30W or a PoE switch to get started. Taking a closer look at the device, you can see that there are small holes at the front side as well as at the back of the casing. This hole will speed up the air ventilation process, thus helping to reduce the device operating temperature and keep it working stably. The LED at the corner of the AP can light up in different colors to indicate the status. For example, steady ring means the AP is working in normal status, where the wireless interface is activated and Wi-Fi clients are connected. If you see a ring and amber blinking in a fixed interval, it means the AP is still booting up and it is not ready to use. To know more about it, do check out page 31 of the user manual. The back of the AP UA cables are connected. There is the DC barrel jack to power on the NW50AX with a 12V 1.5A power adapter. Next to it is the Gigabit Ethernet port. Beside the DC jack, you can power on the AP with an 802.3AT PoE adapter or switch. Finally, there is a 4-pin serial console to access the command line interface of the AP. Before getting started with the initial configuration, let's see what is included in the box. There is a small label with the device MAC address, serial number, and the QR code. This information is essential to configure your AP either with the Nebula Control Center or the Nebula mobile app. At the bottom of the box, we have the QR code for e-quarantine. Inside the box, there is a safety information paper. Down below is the Zyxel NW50AX access point. Well, we can see that the quick installation diagram and the more information QR code printed on the carton box. Next, we have a 12V and 1.5A power adapter with EU and UK plug. I believe that the plug type should be different according to the market in which you purchase the AP. Finally, we have some mounting tools such as the mounting screws, plastic anchors, and the mount plate. Now, let's connect the Ethernet port of the Zyxel NW50AX to the upstream router and power on the device with the DC power adapter. In this video, I will configure the AP to work in standalone mode using the web interface. Let's do that together. Right now, the Zyxel NWA50AX is up and running, and from my router client list, I can see that it has an IP address of 192.168.A.166. So I'm going to open a new tab, go to this IP address to start configuration. So we can configure the Zyxel in two different modes. You can add it to Nebula Cloud, or you can set up as a standalone. So at the first part, I'm going to configure it in standalone mode. Let's click this button and we will need to log in. The default login will be admin and the password is 1234 and hit enter. So you can see that the password is 1234. Right now we have the wizard settings, and first of all we will need to set up the time zone. This is my country code and the time zone, and click the next button to go up. So step 2, I'm going to set a new password and confirm it. We can set up the connection with auto or DHCP, or we can configure a static IPv4 address. I'm going to start with auto. Let's click next. At this step, we're going to configure the wireless radio. So we can configure the 2.4 and the 5 GHz radio. The channel width by default is 20 MHz, and we can select a channel right here or go with the auto one. We can also set the power. If you don't want to have a very high power, then you can reduce the number right here. I'm going to start with the default one. And the same for the 5 GHz, we can see that it can go up to 80 MHz in the channel bandwidth. So let's go with this one, and that's it. Let's go to the next one. Right here, we have two ADAS IDs named Zyxel. The band mode column indicates that both ADAS IDs will simultaneously broadcast on the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands. However, we can click on the ADAS ID to adjust the band mode to either 2.4 or 5 GHz. For this setup, I will go with the default configuration from Zyxel. And right here, let's review all the settings and hit save. Alright, so we can see that the configuration is being applied to the AP, and let's be patient. So on every time we log into the Zyxel NWA50AX, we will see a message like this, and it's encouraged us to configure the device with the Zyxel Nebula Control Center. So if you don't want to see this one, you can click on this button to not show the above message after close the window. Or else, if you want to give it a try, then you can always go and check the user manual. So let me click the OK button to close this one. Alright, so this is the dashboard of the Zyxel NWA50AX. And as the first tab, we will have the device information. We will have the system resources, as well as the status of the Ethernet port if there is any. We also can see the wireline interface status and the WDS downlink status. On the right side, we can see that the uptime, the current time, and the current login account, and also the working mode. So we can see that it is working in standalone. So right here, we have the status of the Ethernet port, which is 1 gigabit. AP information, so this is it, and WDS uplink status. So let's go to the next tab, which is the monitor. And on this tab, basically we can see the status of the Ethernet, uplink, and we can also see the AP information. So we can see the 2.4 GHz is running on channel 11, and the transmit power is now 19, and the 5 GHz is running on channel 48, 44, 36, and 40. We can also see the channel utilization right here to have a better planning. Alright, so on the station info, we have no because there's no connected device. WDS link info, no info because no WDS client or master. Detected device, not at all. Log, which is the status of anything related to the wireless connection or your wireless radio. And the next tab will be the configuration. So for configuration, by default, it will point you to the AP management, but you can always check out the network configuration such as DHCP or static IPv4 You can also enable the IPv6 as well. Beside the default VLAN, which is number 1, you can set up a corresponding VLAN right here. And you can also configure something with NCC Discovery, which is Nebula Control Center. So you can enable or disable this one. However, in order to use the Nebula Control Center, you should have a working internet connection. Alright, so for the wireless, we see that we have the AP management, where we can configure our radio. You can set up the operation mode of your radio 1 at AP mode, root AP, or repeater. So right here we have this radio, and basically this is the overview of the wireless configuration. And next one, on the Roger AP, you can also see and enable or disable the Roger AP. Alright, so it's a lot of things you can configure, such as suspected Roger AP classification rules, quick security, or hidden NSIDs or NSID password. And you can also allow or disallow Roger's AP. Alright, DCS. So I have no idea what a DCS means, but we can always check out the user manual. Next, we have some of the objects such as user, setting, AP profile, WDS profile, certification. On the system, we can change the host name, the date, the time, worldwide web to enable the web UI with HTTPS and HTTP. We can also enable and disable edit connection to the NWA50AX. Besides, we can also enable FTP as well. So if the function is not required, you can always turn it off to protect your AP. And the last one will be the log and report. So you can send the email report on every day, and you can view your log setting right here. The last tab we have is the maintenance tab. Right here we have 3 configuration files: startup config, which is the current one, the system default, which come out from the factory, and the last root will be the last working status configuration. So if you want to back up your current configuration, you can click the download button. And if you want to apply a certain configuration file, you can click on the apply button just like this and hit OK. So basically, you can always revert to the default configuration by applying the system default.conf. And next, on the firmware package, we can see the current firmware, release dates, and we can also upload the new firmware. For the shell script, we can upload a shell script and execute it. On the diagnostic, let's see, we can press the collect now to gather diagnostic information, remote capture. On the LEDs, we can turn on or off the LED, and we can also enable the LED to locate your AP if you have a bunch of access points in your environment. And basically, click on the reboot, we just restart the router. Shut down, of course it will shut down the AP. So this is an overview of the Zyxel NWA50AX. So now, since I already configured the AP to work in standalone mode, I'm going to connect to it and let's check out the speed. Alright, so let's go to the Wi-Fi setting right here and let's search for the Zyxel one. So here it is, I just see it, Zyxel Connect. And by default, the password that we use is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Next, yes. Perfect, we are connected. Let's click on the property to see the status. So we can see that the protocol is Wi-Fi 6, as you can see from here, and we have the link speed of 1201/1201 Mbps. Very good. So let's refresh the Zyxel dashboard, and I'm not sure if we can see the device. So let me see. So let's go to the Wireless tab, AP information, and we can see some statistics of the wireless radio. So on the station info, we can see my device show up right here, and we can see the signal strength is very good, and we can also see the TX and RX rate. So let's go and open the speed test application and check it out. Very good, we are having 640 Mbps for download and around 300 Mbps for upload. Now I'm going to connect to the NWA50AX using my smartphone. We can see that when the device is ready and no Wi-Fi client is connected, the LED is on a bright blue color. After my phone is connected, the color changed to green. Let's have a quick throughput test with speed test. Very well, we have 732 Mbps download and 351 Mbps upload. Let's have another local throughput test with open speed test. This time, the download speed is up to 784 Mbps and the upload speed is 615 Mbps. So far, we already have an overview of the Zyxel NW50AX Wi-Fi 6 set point and take a quick speed test. What do you think about this device after comparing the price, accessories, and performance? Do let me know in the comment section. In the next video, we are going to configure the NWA50AX with the Nebula app and check out the Nebula Control Center. Thanks for watching and see you soon.